I had my first real date when I was 75 years old. Let that sink in. For most of my life, I believed my story was over, that the final chapters were just about quiet waiting. You know the sound I mean? It's not a clock. It's the silence of a life that has shrunk to the size of a chair by a window. You become a spectator in your own body. And everyone, maybe even you, believes the script is written. Passion is for the young. Love is for those with time. At 75, you are just waiting. But I'm here to tell you how I was wrong and why everything you think about age and love is about to change. What's the most dangerous kind of loneliness? The one that doesn't feel lonely at all. It feels comfortable, safe, like a pair of worn-out slippers. That was my life for 12 years after Martin died. I had built a perfect, silent little world, a microcosm of survival. My conversations with the outside world shrank to just a handful of polite, automatic phrases. Thank you, I'm just looking. Yes, the weather is nice today. No, I can manage. I wasn't living, I was managing. And the strangest part? I'd convinced myself it was enough. And then my granddaughter, Sophie, gave me a gift. She handed me a laptop and said she'd sign me up for an online watercolor course. I scolded her. I said my hands don't work that way, that it wasn't for me. But the silence that evening was so loud, so absolute, that I was willing to do anything to drown it out. I clicked join, and I entered. Not a drawing lesson. I entered a room with 20 other lost souls just like me. Not faces, avatars. No one saw my wrinkles. They only saw my username, Agnes, from the north. The instructor said, forget about the result. Just feel the brush glide on the paper. And I started a dialogue with the paper, with the paint, with my own tension. And when I posted my first pathetic, watery abstraction into the group chat, a comment appeared underneath from a person with an avatar of an antique compass. His name was Harry. He wrote, Agnes, from the north. This is astonishing. You have no technique, but you have mood. It's like watching ice melt. It's the northern lights in a glass of water. The northern lights in a glass of water. I read that phrase 10 times. Someone saw poetry in my clumsy blot. And then the panic set in. Real animal panic. The voice in my head, the one I'd listened to for decades, screamed, have you lost your mind? You're 75. What do you think you're doing? He's probably some fossil too. What will the kids think? The neighbors? It's ridiculous. It's embarrassing. Your time has passed. Sit in your silence and be grateful you have a roof over your head. That voice sounded more truthful than anything, because it said what everything around me believed, what I believed. But then I looked at my reflection in the dark monitor screen, at the woman who was afraid to even write a message, and another voice spoke up inside me, quiet but stubborn. The voice of that very Agnes, who wasn't afraid to live once. "What?" the voice asked. "Are you planning to die without even trying?" I didn't know what to write back to Harry. Thank you seemed too banal. I wanted that ray of light not to go out. And I found something to say. I wrote about his compass, asked if it was still searching for a path or had already found one. It was my first flirtatious line in 30 years, and when I hit send, my heart didn't flutter, my breath caught. From terror and from a strange, forgotten feeling of thrill, we started messaging. First in the group chat, then privately. They were incredible conversations. We talked about books we'd read in our youth, about music that still makes you cry, about the fear of becoming invisible, a burden. He turned out to be intelligent, witty, profound. He'd lost his wife 5 years ago, said what saved him was the night sky, that when you look through a telescope, you understand how small we are and how beautiful our brief chance to realize it is. And then he asked for my phone number, and he called, hearing his voice for the first time, warm, low, with a slight rasp and such a genuine chuckle I couldn't utter a word. He asked, "Hello, Agnes? Is this the Northern Lights? I think I scared you off." And I just said, "I'm here." And we stayed on the phone for 4 hours. 4 hours. Like teenagers. We laughed. We were silent. And at the end he said, "Agnes, I really want to see those northern lights, not in a glass, in person. Will you let me take you for a cup of coffee?" And I realized I was standing on the edge of a chasm between safe non-existence and a terrifying, dazzling possibility of being alive. I spent the next week in a dialogue with the mirror. "You look like a grandmother trying to play a role that isn't hers," the reflection said. And then I looked myself straight in the eye and asked, "And who wrote the script that at 75 you only get to be wise and fading? Why can't you just be alive?" We met at the botanical gardens. He was waiting for me with a small old book in his hands, not flowers. When I approached, he smiled and said I was even more beautiful than my watercolor. And I replied that he was younger than his compass, and we started walking. It was the most unusual date in the world. We didn't fill the pauses with small talk. The pauses were full of meaning. We talked about time, looking at a 100-year-old cactus, about seeing the finiteness of our path. And there was no sadness in it. There was clarity, sharpness. He took my hand. His palm was warm, dry, with prominent veins. And in that moment, it was the most beautiful hand in the world, because it didn't let go. You wonder if there was chemistry, butterflies? Let me answer like this. Imagine you've eaten canned fruit all your life and forgotten the taste of a fresh peach right off the branch, and then someone gives you one to taste. It's not an explosion, it's a revelation, a return to the authentic taste of life. What grew between us wasn't the passion of youth, it's warmth. Deep, steady warmth of understanding. The warmth of being truly seen, not the aging shell, but the very girl who lives inside and is afraid to admit she's still alive. Love at 75 isn't an addition to life, it's its justification. It's when someone tells you, your presence on this bench with this cup of coffee, that is an event, because it's you. And what does our life consist of now? Of a daily life that has become poetry. Of how he adjusts the blanket over me in the morning and I pretend to be asleep. Of how he cuts my toast into small pieces because he remembers my dentures. Of our queue at the pharmacy, where we quietly guess the stories of other people's lives. Of 2 armchairs, 2 lamps, and 1 blanket under which our feet in warm socks touch. The silence between us isn't empty. It's full. Of 3 o'clock in the morning when my back aches and he, without asking, silently starts to knead it carefully in the dark and then kisses my shoulder. We don't make plans for 10 years. We make plans for next week, to drive to the lake, to bake a pie for when the grandkids visit. That is our infinite, precious now. And now, stop looking at me like I'm a curiosity. Look at yourself. I can hear your thoughts, just like I heard my own. You think, I'm too old? No. Your age is your advantage. You have no time for nonsense, only for the essence. You think, I'm not who I used to be. Thank God. You are who you are now, with your entire library of a lived life. Someone will find it utterly fascinating. You think, my body isn't perfect. I have a list of illnesses. My dear, everyone our age has something that hurts. That's not an obstacle to love. It's its condition. To love not in spite of, but with all the pills and the creaks. You think, the kids won't understand. I'll be a laughingstock. Have you asked? My granddaughter said, Gran, you're badass. Our grown children want us to be happy, not convenient, and if they don't, that's their problem, not yours. You think, I'm afraid of rejection. I'm afraid of looking ridiculous. That's the strongest fear. You know what kills it? One step, one message. One hello in that very online club for embroidery, astronomy, or cooking. The one who tries doesn't look ridiculous. The one who gives up without even starting, that's who looks ridiculous and pitiful. You're not afraid of love, you're afraid of life. Because to love is to open yourself up to the world again. It means to risk. Yes, your heart can be broken, but a broken heart is better than a whole, untouched, frozen block of ice in your chest, slowly stopping time. Until you stop yourself, Harry and I don't know how much time we have left. A year, 5, 10, it doesn't matter. Because these 3 years lived together have been more vibrant than 20 years of my safe solitude. Every morning I wake up and I don't feel the weight of the years. I feel anticipation of our coffee, our argument, our silence, our shared, so very old and so very stubborn joy. So don't ask if you're too old for love. Ask yourself, are you brave enough to give yourself permission to be happy right until the very end?